The fight for the future of the Democratic Party is heating up ahead of next week's vote for DNC chair. And after a contentious 2016 primary, the battle between Clinton and Sanders wings of the party is on full display, with former Labor Secretary Tom Perez boasting the support of fellow Obama administration colleagues like Joe Biden and Eric Holder, and his chief rival, Minnesota Congressman Keith Ellison, locking up the endorsements of both Bernie Sanders and Elizabeth Warren. Doug Schoen is a Fox News contributor and former pollster for President Bill Clinton. He joins me now from Los Angeles. So, Doug, you wrote, I think it was this week, that the Democratic Party, is literally on life support. I mean, is it really that bad?
It is, Paul. Look, we have been steadily losing offices. We've been losing state houses and governorships in the last 8 years. The state parties themselves are moribund, and the strategy that the activist wing has taken, this resist Trump, is something that is bereft of policy. It involves demonstrations and, frankly, attacking other Democrats who have the temerity to want to even sit and listen and potentially work with the new administration. I think, Paul, very simply, it's madness, politically and socially and economically.
Tell us how you really feel, Doug. But I mean, I want to get to this resistance strategy and what's a little bit.
Sure.
Let's deal with the DNC chair fight first. You've got.
Sure.
Is this really? Did I frame it correctly by calling it a fight between basically the Obama-Clinton wing on the one hand with Perez and the Sanders-Warren wing on the other with Ellison?
Yeah, I think that's exactly right. And Ellison opened an early lead. There are reports from the Perez camp that they've got 180 of the 244 votes they will need. Those are heartily and enthusiastically dismissed by the Ellison camp. And the Ellison camp has literally been in the streets attacking Democrats who are opposed to Keith Ellison and are willing to work with the Trump administration. And there's real possibility that the vote could be actively disrupted, which, no matter who wins, Paul, could be a bad note for the Democrats.
But I have to tell you, look at the platforms of both of these guys, both of these candidates. I mean, it's Tweedledum and Tweedledee. There's no real difference fundamentally, it seems to me, between what they believe ideologically.
Well, that's why I wrote in your newspaper that I thought the Democratic Party was heading in a calamitously wrong direction. I think if you emphasize redistribution over growth and confrontation over conciliation, you will continue to lose that working class vote in the Midwest that the Democrats need. With 10 senators up in states that President Trump won, the Democrats can ill afford moving to the hard left. And candidly, I see my party moving in a direction that is virtually unrecognizable.
Yeah, but look, they've why not? Let's get to the point about resistance. The strategy does seem to be resistance. But if you're sitting in the House and the Senate and you're a Democrat and you watched the Women's March on Inauguration weekend, and then you've watched what's happened with the Trump administration and the protests against him by Democratic activists, what choice do you have? How can you resist a base that is that activated against the president?
Well, that is exactly what led people like Senator Schumer, the minority leader, to go from I can work with President Trump to saying he's going to oppose virtually all his legislation and nominees. And in the short term, it makes sense. In the longer term, I think it is a very bad and destructive strategy.
But, I mean, my question is, I mean, does Schumer really have a choice? Because if he goes in any other direction and starts to try to cooperate, isn't he at risk of being having protests against him? So if you're Schumer, isn't this the easiest path to pursue?
Yes, it's the easiest path, and indeed there have been demonstrations already outside his house in Park Slope, Brooklyn. But I'm not convinced it's a winning strategy. And look, when I worked for Bill Clinton, we took the party back to the center, away from the left, balanced budget, welfare reform, crime control, and we need a party that continues to reposition itself, not embraces activism and left-wing redistributive politics that is out of touch with the American people.
All right, but here's what I hear from a lot of Democrats. Look, the Tea Party strategy of 2010, which was a resistance to President Obama, that worked beautifully in 2010. We took back the House. We picked up seats in the Senate. Why shouldn't the same thing work for the Democrats this time in 2018? After all, it looks like the Trump administration is having some difficulties, and Republicans haven't put any victories legislatively on the table so far. So why not go for total resistance?
Well, because the voters in the 10 states or so that are Trump states, that Democrats have senators up, and congressmen as well, congressional seats that are open and available for contesting, they are much more moderate to conservative. This is a moderate to conservative country, and to just be in the streets with activism is not reflecting the base they're trying to reach, which is what did happen in 2010. The conservative wing of the Republican Party, the now Tea Party or Freedom wing, did reflect activists. I don't believe that working class voters who voted for Donald Trump have a lot of sympathy with the so-called resistance wing, and I think we'll see that 2 years from now on Election Day.
All right, Doug, thanks.